A very good evening from Archie McPherson. Barcelona, 3 times winners of this tournament, take on a club tonight which has achieved nothing in Europe. And with the 3-1 lead the Spanish club have from the first leg, they could be entitled to feel relaxed about this venture into colder climes. But the Scandinavian environment has affected even some of the very best European sides in recent years. So I suppose on a night when the chill has brought out a crop of gloves amongst the players, Barca will take nothing for granted. The side of Guardiola there, the man I always remember for that superb game he played in the Barcelona Olympics. The real playmaker of this side, and as I said earlier, Barcelona will take nothing for granted against this side here with names which are hardly household names in European circles, but the player that Barca will have to watch in particular is Pascal Simpson, number 9, who's in his 7th season for the club, top goal scorer in the league and scored 3 goals in Europe. Very fast and agile. Alongside him, in terms of status, number 26, Gary Sundgren, who is another player, interesting clubs around Europe, and we hear that Sunderland are mightily interested in him. But I suppose this man here is worth himself 3 times the whole AIK side. And that, of course, was Risto Stoichkov you just saw there. In a side which is minus Laurent Blanc, who's suspended. He was red-carded in the first game, and Luis Enrique, he achieved his 2nd yellow card. So once again, that defense has changed. They made a swap selection, Ferrer coming in for Abelardo. And of course, with Nadal playing beside Couto Sergi on the left, 4 at the back, Popescu, Guardiola in midfield, and up front, Figo de la Peña and Stoichkov with Ronaldo spearheading that attack, and the Barcelona side hoping that he'll add to the 3 goals he scored in the tournament so far. Well, the crowd loved that. Sergi immediately being pressurized away in that far corner. Sergi, the man who started off life as a flying left winger and brought back and is now one of the most dangerous attacking fullbacks in the business, although AIK have said publicly they want him to attack a bit so they can push in Mielquist in behind him. Let's Pacha, and now cross come Johan Mjällby. That was number 10, a player who was quite outstanding in the first leg, number 10, Mjällby. Again, AIK proved, even in the first leg, they scored in the first minute, by the way. They proved in that game that they have this deep-rooted Scandinavian technique when they're hardly an exciting team to watch, but they're well organized at the back. They can break very quickly on the counter-attack. And the crowd giving them the right kind of backing for this. Ball slipped back there to Ronaldo, who'd come back deep. And as a Brazilian, of course, I think he might be thinking of paying a kind of spiritual homage to this stadium, Rasmussen Stadium, the Rasunda Stadium, because it was here back in 1958 that a 17-year-old Brazilian, to whom he has been so often compared, Pelé, made his name and helped win the World Cup for Brazil. So the Rasunda, a resounding name in the annals of Brazilian history in football. At the back there, Magnus Hedman. He was the deputy to Thomas Ravelli in USA 94. Bernardo Couto away with it. Ronaldo looking inside. De la Peña had made a little run through the middle and then stopped in his tracks. De la Peña given his chance by Bobby Robson with the club, trying to open the door for some of the younger players. after the departure of Johan Cruyff. Ronaldo. I think the pitch might trouble some of the players. The wind is whipping up, and it's cutting up ever so slightly. There's a man who's been cut up. I think suffered a death by 1,000 cuts in the Spanish press. Bobby Robson finding it very hard going. Stoichkov. That's a lovely little run through by Ronaldo, but I think about a couple of yards offside. Scored 22 goals already this season. And we hear, would you believe, that Lazio are prepared to pay £24 million for this man, who I think might have been offside when that ball was played. Just. That's right, £24 million. It's staggering. Almost like the budget of a small country. De La Peña. Figo. Nicely tackled there by Sundgren. Battle for the ball there as Ferrer tried to get away with that. Trout didn't like that decision, but it was clear obstruction. And there's the languid form of Fernando Couto. Hooked away there by Brundin. That's the player I was talking about coming into the picture there, Pascal Simpson, very briefly. De La Peña. Trying to bring Ronaldo into the action again. Solidly away by Hedman. Guardiola, one of the best passers of a ball in European football. He probably lacks just that little bit of devilish pace that gets him past opponents in midfield, but he amply compensates for that with superb passing, good vision. It's a better run on the right, and I think it's just too much kind of acknowledgement there for that pass that was put through by Lagerlof. And of course AIK could not possibly have dreamt of getting the kind of start he got in the new camp when they were a goal up in 1 minute. And it was Simpson who scored that goal, so Barcelona will have him well taped. That's a free kick. And even the Swedish players are wearing the gloves there. That was Sundgren, the player I mentioned, who'd been interesting Sunderland. Free kick, I would imagine. No, the French referee, well, surprisingly waving play on Gilles Bessières. And I think he might stop the play this time. He does, in fact. Up goes his arm for the indirect free kick, the obstruction, and it's probably just out with the range of this man for a direct free kick, and indeed he knew that himself. Quick one to Guardiola, then to Ferrer. There goes Ronaldo. Oof. Sundgren just got into that. That's very slack play. That back four looked very flat indeed. Hooked away by Milquist, though. Now picked up by Lagerlof. I thought an arm was used, and so did some of the Barca players there. This is Pierre Gallo. Very obvious ball, and they will not beat the Barcelona defense that way. Couto. Figo played it wide. Watch Ronaldo going into the middle. Loud boos when Popescu touched that ball. Sergi tried to come forward and picked up now by Novakovic. Novakovic in his first season now for AIK. Full stadium tonight, 25,000 in it. And Guardiola brought down by the goal scorer for AIK from the first game, Pascal Simpson. Well, Guardiola, it was said, could never play for the national side the way he plays for Barcelona. That kind of style, the playmaker. But in fact, that's part of the basis for the Spanish national side. Guardiola right in the middle of it. Oh. French referee in a way. Pitch cutting up inside the penalty area. Cleared by Mjolby. Well, it seemed to me that Novakovic leant into Sergi, and he's shrugging his shoulders, as you can see there. Watch him battling in there. Might have been a bit of jersey holding on the blind side by this man. Well, I think they'll have to take advantage of every situation like that. It wasn't near goal, but nevertheless, free kicks like that with some of the bigger men they've got coming forward could be an advantage to them, and that was sheer waste. Solid enough tackle. Figo, the man who was part of that bizarre dispute in the past between Juve and Parma, who both thought they had him with a signed contract. Well, trying to stroke the passes together, getting encouragement. Novakovic has come across to this left wing. Ball taken away from Pacha. And away go Barca. I think they might benefit from AIK trying to attack them like that. They're down by Figo to Ferrer. Couto. Not quite sure why the Swedes are being derisory of the way that Barcelona are holding on to the ball. Simple one there for Couto to Ferrer. We all thought Abelardo would be playing tonight. Man who is 27 tomorrow, but they made that change. That's Nadal. That's a beautiful ball. Look now at the pace of this man, Sergi. And all that aggressive thrust comes from his early days, as I said, as a very dynamic left winger. Ferrer. Popescu. Well, at the moment, AIK are holding their own. I think the first 15-20 minutes of this game are going to be vital for both sides. Now look at Ronaldo right in the middle. He could put it in, and oh! He never does anything by half, this man. That could have been a mere side foot into the net. In fact, he almost took the roof off. And isn't that pretty illustrative of the man's temperament? Really went to the extreme there. Now the chance looked simple enough, but he decided to go for the spectacular finish. What dreadful defending all the same. And then it goes for his fourth goal of the tournament. 26 goals in all this season. And no half measures as Barcelona go one up. Great run by Stoichkov. Placed that beautifully down. Very largely to the supporters in the stadium, and there's a very big crowd tonight. This must be a huge disappointment. There's only one goal in it, and that makes it very difficult, of course, at aggregate, but they've seen nothing at all aggressively from AIK, and Vito Bayer has had one of the easier passages in his career, and as Figo wanting to go himself, it's been a bit of a procession, and there's even a lack of team spirit about AIK at the moment. There's Simpson, he's been well marked tonight. Hasn't been able to get away at all from the close marking of either Couto, who's been on him, or Nadal. Back by Figo to De La Peña to Ferrer. Ronaldo. And at times in midfield they seem to be toying with the Swedes. It's been some lovely football in midfield, and it was a superb goal by any standards. Bad defending, but brilliantly conceived and finished by Stoichkov and Ronaldo. There we are, that's Guardiola at his best. Out of a cluster of players, opening the play up, and Stoichkov, I think, simply passing the buck. Number 27, Novakovic. The supporters a little bit reluctant, I suppose, to accept this man initially. He came from the rival Stockholm club, Djurgården, but fighting his way into their favor, and now here is Popescu to Ferrer. Well, Ronaldo's had an appetite tonight for coming back, fetching and carrying in midfield. And the onus now on the Swedes to do something with this game, but quite frankly, I'm looking for ability somewhere. Here's Stoichkov again. Maybe he carries that a little too far, and I think he was left with little option as the ball seemed to run away from him there. Better pass by De La Peña again. He's had one wonderful scything pass and about 10 minutes ago. Now that ball played to Stoichkov. Stoichkov, the good news for Bulgarians is that he's decided he'll play back in the Bulgarian national side. He had gone in a huff with him, didn't like the tactics of the coach. Now he says he wants to play again at the age of 32. I think Stoichkov will go on for a long period yet. Very carefully rations the way he gets involved in a game now. Nadal riding well for that. Guardiola beaten by the pace of that. While Nadal and Couto, the two centre-backs there, almost intimidating in the way they present themselves to Simpson up front. They've looked particularly weak against a very strong Spanish defense. Well, the supporters in the background seem in a fairly optimistic mood. I don't know what they're basing it on. Couto, in that typical fashion of his, enticing the players forward and sending that ball out to his compatriot from Portugal, Figo. There we are, we're approaching half-time. No indication of the way that this game can be balanced out by AIK. Number 5, Michael Brunden. He played in Portugal as well for Setúbal last season. There's a little touch of the Iberian Peninsula on both sides. Good play by Barcelona, but enjoying the climate at the moment. It is rather warm, and I think they're calling for the gloves again. I think that's what it is. Or else they're having a game of charades out there. In any case, he's warming himself up, and as I said, they don't like the weather, but they've had a very comfortable passage so far, and indeed the gloves are coming out. For a man, I said at the start, the Rosunda Stadium saw the baptism of one of the greatest of all players here, a Brazilian called Pelé. And now this young man who's often been compared to him has scored a goal tonight, which would bring back a lot of warm memories to the older generation of Swedes who sat and watched that game. So they lead by 1-0. And there's a player who's personified the ease by which Barcelona have progressed. That was Couto. There he is again. Well, what do you do on a cold night if you're a goalkeeper? You've got nothing to do. Probably make sure you pack the thermals before you come, and I think that's the only consolation he might have had tonight, Vito Bayer. What can they produce this side? This is picked up by Novakovic. Almost backed up there by Milquist. Very experienced team. He's one of the experienced players, Milquist, at the age of 30. Purish ball that time. And look how deep Ronaldo was lying, almost in left midfield position. De La Peña might pick it up, hooked through by Mjällby, who was outstanding in the first match. Fernando Couto toyed a lot at the end of the Euro 96 as to which club he would eventually go to. Fabio Capello again toyed with the idea of him and came to the conclusion he wasn't fast enough for Real Madrid. He's ended up with their great rival. Sergi, a little bit slow coming back. Sergi started his footballing in the Barca residential school. That's where he lived for 3 years, picking up the rudiments of his trade. And here's another man. Very little to learn about the game, Stoichkov. Sergi has scored 1 goal only in the league this season, but I think his particular value is stretching defenses rather than putting the ball away. Figo. Ferrer. Guardiola, he'll try the longish one this time. Almost instinctively sweeping it out to the left to find Stoichkov. Now away goes Lagelov, and I think that might be a free kick. Yes. I think perhaps the covering has been so intense by Barcelona from well up in their opponent's half that they've really not been able to create any fluency in the play. Barcelona quite simply have been defending by attacking all the time. On comes Matthias Johansson. Substitute, played 8 times for the under-21s. And Lagelov now goes off. He said a poorish game tonight. They were saying he might not have been fit for this game, and perhaps The toiling in midfield has taken its toll. And it's a better looking ball and the best ball of the game thus far by Milquist. Certainly got up to Cesar Pacha. And they say this young man coming up here for the cross, getting on the end of Milquist's ball here. Cesar Pacha is one of the coming stars of Swedish football. Came on as a sub against Barcelona in the first game. Well, that's Novakovic trying to get away with that. Here's the chase. Look at the pace of Ronaldo. Well, Milquist thought he had that well covered. Might get to Figo, no, just take it away from him. And Fernando Couto is beginning to come forward a little bit more. That'll be a free kick. He always puts in solid performances, this man, no matter where he goes. He came from Parma, of course. Well, now, that was almost a delayed reaction. Figo. Figo's never been the strongest player in football, but highly talented. Fine touch he has. Guardiola. Ferrer. Now Sergi. Really is a touch of Ajax about the way they're playing. Keep possession at all costs. Make the passing crisp. And that one certainly wasn't. Ended a very good sequence of passing, and that's unlike Guardiola. Still to open his account in the Spanish league this season, but he is the great provider in the side. Roar of anticipation as Novakovic picks it up, and only one player from AIK in the box, and simply not good enough. When somebody goes away down the right hand or the left hand side like that, then they really have to get the midfield players coming roaring into the penalty box. De La Peña. Coming back slightly deeper. Ronaldo again. Quite content to come back to the halfway line, Ronaldo. Ferrer fighting hard for that. And I'm sure VIDEOOBZOR will be delighted with a little exercise. On there by Popescu. Guardiola. That's quite unique. You've seen Guardiola twice miss pass. Just kept in play by Figo. Give the impression he wanted to go himself at that, and Ronaldo was slightly slow coming up. Popescu. Looked away by Milquist. Well, they've really got to fasten on to this passing like that. Ball played. Pacha looking inside there. And I don't think that was nearly strong enough. Johansson's shot. Easy one for Bayer. Might be getting just a little bit casual now, Barcelona. However, Figo given the break. Anderson had gone forward, given them a little bit of space, and that should have been put away by Stoichkov. He's not one of the renowned headers in the business. He scored 5 goals this season in the Spanish league, one with a penalty kick, none with headers. Good play by Figo. He couldn't be blamed for that nicely curling ball, which the goalkeeper couldn't really come for. Beautifully judged. And all Stoichkov did was put his head in the way. A substitution coming up here, and since that early goal by Ronaldo, it's never been easy for AIK, but nevertheless, with the misses that Barca have had, AIK should have been dead and buried by now. Guardiola, nothing ominous about this. I think they're giving the man a rest. The game is well and truly won. I cannot see anybody coming back from this. And number 13, Lidman, coming on for AIK. A little swab that I doubt very much will make much material difference. Cesar Pacha going off, which I think will surprise some of the Swedes I talk to, because they do regard him highly. On he comes, Lidman. They've been a very buoyant and optimistic and very sporting crowd tonight. Seem to have got rid of the early booing of the Barcelona side, and I think now beginning to appreciate that Barca have class and style. Stoichkov. Oh, we saw that miss by Stoichkov, but this man really has paid his way for Barcelona. Winning 4 championships and a European Cup with them. Can't do much better than that. That's a better ball and nobody coming in for it. A claim for a penalty kick as Johansson went down. But again, they weren't there in sufficient numbers. But the young substitute has come on, has at least made an impression on this Barca defence. They're not exactly terrified by him, but they do know he's playing. Nadal, that's offside. Nadal. That's a man about whom there are so many rumours connecting him with Manchester United, or have been in the past. Could also be warmly welcomed in England, of course, because it was he who missed the penalty against England at Wembley. Number 4, Ola Anderson. There's Vito Bayer, almost hugging that for warmth. The man who went 1,000 minutes with Porto without conceding a goal. Number 10 here, Mialbe, playing central midfield, but virtually he's been forced to come back and play almost centre back. Nadal getting that away comfortably. There's Nadal, number 20. An all-round sportsman. He was a tennis champion when he was a junior. Bit of hesitation, and Nadal comes away with it. To Stoichkov using his right foot. Well, there's a collector's item. I tried to put it forward again to Johansson. Now De La Peña. Nice little run on the outside here by Milquist. He took that well enough. Now where's Johansson this time, and plucked out of the air. Lidman was coming very close to him. And I think that's probably the best move of the game. And aren't they enjoying it? We'll be calling for a lap of water for that next. Good ball. I mean, Vita Bayer, it dragged him round, looked in the other direction. And, you know, I think Lidman could have been a little more aggressive there. I think he let Vita Bayer off very lightly indeed. Now, Novakovic. Now we're getting a little more spirited play from his side, but it's a bit late in the day. Referee allows play to go on there. Stoichkov. Oh, that's nicely judged. The resulting to the high punt upfield. Nicely brought down there by Lidman. Now Simpson with a shot. He's done it again. It might be too late, but I think that balances not just the score, but the spectacle we saw early in the game with a punishing finish by Ronaldo. Well taken there. They've come alive in the last 5 minutes, and in that spirit, Pascal Simpson driving it in, his 4th goal in the tournament, and in his 138th game for the club. I wonder if he scored a more spectacular goal any time prior to this one. Gathers himself very well, and I think he must have realized he had to put curl on it to put it in, and he did. Beautiful control here by Lidman. We haven't seen enough of them getting into the box, of course. That's the problem. Barcelona have very effectively kept the ball off them. Now Pizzi is on, Ronaldo off. Pizzi, who's only scored 1 goal in the tournament. One of the top goal scorers, of course, in Spanish football last season. Of Argentinian stock, of course. Well, they're playing the ball about well, but all I think they need to do now is simply keep possession. Crowd roaring AIK on, though. But still 2 goals in it on aggregate. Well, Kudo gives it away. Now that must inspire AIK again when you see a reliable defender doing something like that. Well, there it is again. They're panicking slightly. Vita Bayer kept on his line. The ball was whipped across by Novakovic, and there he is fighting back to get hold of that. Oh, this has really roused the Rasunda Stadium. And you have to wonder, is it simply because Barcelona have taken a foot off the accelerator? Or is it a newfound spirit here? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. One each on the night. Yalbi has decided to come forward, and that might be very dangerous indeed. Here's Stoichkov. Chased out there by Michael Brunden. Wonderful stopper, this man. 2nd season with the club. That's a man who played for Setúbal in Portugal. And he showed a fair turn of pace there. Well, where does it come from? This is now inspired by comparison with the plodding display in the first half. A good ball by Milquist again. Taken away there by Popescu. And Lidman has provided a lot of aggregation for that Barcelona defense on the left-hand side as he went down several times and showed his skill for that equalizing goal. And there he was again. But as you can see from that, it's all a bit late. I think by half-time, in any case, the crowd had simply resigned itself to the fact that they wanted a decent performance and a credible result from this game, and I think they're now beginning to get it. Good tackling by Popescu. De La Peña fouled, and that was a bad one. And I think the excitement has got to Ola Andersson. Ola Andersson was the second oldest player on the side at the age of 31, and I think, in fact, it was the touch at the back that made him mistime it, and I think he seemed to catch his studs on the ground as well. And of course, I was talking to a physiotherapist, a specialist in sports injuries recently, and he says the number of injuries to the cruciate ligaments are increasing in football now because of the number of games played and the hard pitches at this time of the season, especially on the continent. Well, that was the kind of situation there which could have been infinitely more dangerous and serious. It's shot by Ferrer. And the experience of Vidabaya demonstrated out very quickly. Sometimes when you watch Fernando Couto play, you wonder why players don't put him under pressure enough. He seems to stroll through the game. Here's Stoichkov, who never strolls. Just let it go a little bit too hard, too far. The goalkeeper anxious to get on with this. I think they're now playing for the history book. They want, in the annals, to record a victory over a famous side. 3 times winners of this trophy. 3 times winners of the UEFA, including the Old First Cup and European champions. That's a better looking ball, and Simpson seemed to take his eye right off the ball. And all credit there to the man who's decided to push forward more. Johan Mjolby, there he is. Touches it inside, and Simpson took it with the outside of his left foot, and I think the very presence of Vita Bayer coming at him very quickly did put him off. Well, they almost got that victory there. Haven't had many runs from Sergi in the second half, and I'm quite sure Bobby Robson, well, he didn't really need to tell them that they could just sit back on their lead. Played more casually, and they have this game won, or they have the tie won, to be more accurate. Stoichkov, more an interception than anything else. Try to push that through. Ball again by Mjolby. Good little touch here. And again, Johansson with a lot of pace, but he seemed to run out of nerve. Shaking his head ruefully there. Did get a very good opening. Score though still remains 1 each on a night. Very much of Barcelona are going to lift the championship in Spain, so success in this trophy would be a very great compensation for them. That's how important it is. They've gone about their job tonight, clinically, professionally. And I don't think anybody would mind around Europe if they lost this game to a side that certainly showed more courage and adventure in the second half, as long as they got through. Sitting fairly comfortably, but they have to make absolutely sure Bobby Robson does not want any disasters on the European field. There's De La Peña with a beautiful ball, and that's just a bit too far. Big figure there of Giovanni, you saw, the substitute, and from Dos Santos. By the way, he and Ronaldo played excellently in a friendly with Bologna recently for Brazil, scoring a couple of goals each. And there was Novakovic. Well, twice he's put over balls, and there's Simpson with the header. Pascal Simpson, I believe, is being sought after by many a club around Europe. He's 26 years of age. I think he's a very good prospect. Now in his 7th season, and I suppose he's got the 7-year itch and perhaps time to move on now. This man's been immense in this game, Mjällby. He started off playing very defensively in the first half and then decided to come and contribute something much more positive in midfield in the second, and it paid off with that goal. He was at the root of it. Too much. Well, they played much better in the second half, AIK, because they've been able to spread the play a bit. They've created a bit of width with good balls played quickly into the box. Another substitute coming on. I think it's Fredholm. Yes. Fredholm coming on now. A mere formality, though. Picked up by Anderson. Trying to get Simpson back into the action again, along with Lidman. Giovanni trying to bustle his way forward. Well, the two English managers, I was drawing the comparisons between, or the parallels. That's a better run forward now, looking inside for some support from De La Peña. Doesn't quite come off. Pizzi with a bad pass there. The two English managers, Roy Hodgson, Bobby Robson, both with hostile criticism all practically the whole season, and yet doing well in Europe. Doing well enough in the leagues as well, but life is very hard for both managers with clubs where you're expected to win all the time. Free kick. There have been rumours, of course, surrounding Barcelona. We've heard Van Gaal, the Ajax manager, was going to come here. Then we heard he was going to Milan and so on. Well, nothing has been resolved yet. There's the £24 million man. It will be if he goes to Lazio. And the problem for a team like AIK, and of course the Swedish season is different from the rest of Europe, with a close season and about to start up again, is that they cannot sustain. Oh, here's a yellow card to De La Peña, getting involved unnecessarily. Now, I'm sure a manager like Bobby Robson must get incensed that players commit little acts of suicide like that. Oh, he's still niggling away with Ola Anderson. All finishes rather weakly. Chased there by Johansson again. And they win the corner kick. Now beginning to get near stoppage time. There we are. Now could it be one for the history books? A win over Barcelona. Here's the break. Stoichkov. He loves this situation. De La Peña with him, and that's a bad pass by De La Peña. And it may very well be down to the condition of the pitch. That ball might just have bobbled as it got to him. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. In any case, they get the free kick. Well, apart from a flurry of about 10 minutes in the last third of this second half, Barcelona have this game well under control. Sergi. Not making much contact with the players up front now. I doubt very much there will be a great deal of stoppage time. And this might freshen up Barcelona in the league championship as well. Now they can keep their minds on the championship for a little while as they now inevitably head towards the semi-final. All eyes on the French referee Gilles this year. And it goes.